to Blink of the Stars' favorite 52 albums of all time, a, of course, highly subjective list of my favorite record albums that have come out over loosely the rock and roll age, the youth music age, pop music, however we care to call it, basically from like the 50s or 60s until now. Much has been said in recent years about the declining cultural relevance of albums. Playlists seem to play a bigger part in people's lives, but I would argue that we've pretty much always consumed music like this. Back in the home taping days, we made mixtapes of our favorite songs because we didn't want to listen to the album. We wanted to hear all of our favorite songs streaming along in a particular sequence. I think that albums are still really fun to talk about. They represent an artist's journey through time. They encapsulate a certain period in time for an artist. And, they're just fun to talk about and make fun of once in a while. So, why 52? Someone much wiser and prettier than myself suggested that 52 would be a good number. I was having a hard time getting it down under 50. It started as my top 10 and it ballooned to 50. 52 is a good number. If I do one of these per week, then we have one per week. Someone with the initials Jay-Z from Blink of the Star happens to be turning 52 this year. Don't know who. So whatever, 52 it is. It's kind of random. So let's just get into it. Number 52 is an album by a band that the sort of broader realms of the rock cognoscenti would have you believe suck. They may have sucked at times, and it's certainly kind of hard to root for them as individuals as they have all sort of come out over the years in the press in perhaps less than flattering ways. But that band is Kiss, and the album is Love Gun. It's their 6th studio album. It's my favorite. It is a total hoot of a rock and roll album. Kiss famously didn't sound like their live shows, which is what they were famous for. The albums came off as quite tame. I would argue that they're sort of in the tradition of early Beatles albums. They have a swing to them. There's lots of humor. And the overarching concept is fun. And I just think that this particular album is just one of their most fun, swinginest. Gene's best song, in my opinion, Almost Human. Paul's best song, I Stole Your Love, and perhaps Ace's best song, which is the first song Ace Frehley sang on a Kiss album, which is Shock Me. It is just one of the greatest things I've ever heard. It has this incredibly slinky riff with this like bent low note and very laconic stoned vocals from Ace. It's just absolutely the slinkiest, most perfect thing. This is sort of like Kiss at the height of their fame, right at the peak before, the disco era for them begins, and they're on lunch pails now. The younger kids are getting into them. The older teenagers that were into them in the earlier 70s, who kind of thought of them as this sort of edgy New York band, they're starting to go by the wayside, maybe finding heavier things like the new wave of British metal, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. Perhaps they're hearing Van Halen for the first time. Or if they're on the coasts of North America or somewhere in the UK or Europe, they might be getting into punk rock, soon to be new wave. I think the production on Love Gun is perfect. I'm not a big Eddie Kramer head per se, but he really captures them in a very straightforward, dry, sort of honest, organic sounding production style. And I just think it suits them perfectly. So if you are a fan of the genre, you know this album. You either like it or you don't. This isn't going to sway you either way. If you're not a fan of the genre, you're going to hate it. If you're just dipping into Kiss, this is where to start. It's Love Gun, it's their coolest album cover, and it's my 52nd favorite album of all time.